we've got to get customers back in the showrooms. And the way to do that, I believe, is legislation that we're going to be promoting. It's called, the nickname is Cash for Clunkers. It's a funny name, but it's a serious purpose. The idea behind it is to encourage people all across America to trade in their older, less fuel-efficient cars and to buy new cars. And in the process, we're going to offer cash bonuses for those who do. $3,500 for every car if you have an improvement in your gas mileage, up to $4,500 if it's a real improvement. This hybrid over here, this Ford Fusion hybrid over here is an example. If you would purchase this car under this proposal, the government would give you $4,500 off the cost of the car. Now the reason behind this, obviously, is to get people to make a decision to come forward and buy the automobiles, which we have all around this country. We know that we've gone through a pretty tough period of time. Chrysler is in bankruptcy, hoping to come out. General Motors may be going in bankruptcy. Ford's been a little more fortunate. They haven't taken the federal money. They're strong enough now that they don't need to. I hope they never need to. But at this point, to get the economy moving again, we've got to get people buying cars. So we want them to buy new cars. This is not only going to help the dealerships and the companies, but you just cannot imagine how many other businesses around our state and around our nation are connected to the car industry. You know, a woman came up to me yesterday and said, my husband drives one of these over-the-road trucks hauling cars. Well, he's out of work. Well, that's something you might not think of right off the bat. Of course, the people who make the parts and equipment, all of these things are related to our car dealers. So getting the automobile industry back on its feet is a good thing. Can this work? We know it can. They did it in Germany. They came up with a similar proposal in Germany. In 2 months, sold 1 million more cars than they'd anticipated. They returned to last year's sale levels. So we know that if people are given a cash incentive, they'll take advantage of it. Secondly, we put a cash incentive of $8,000 for people who want to buy a first-time home. Realtors come and tell us it's working. Senator, don't mess with it. This is something that creates a real incentive for people to come out and buy a home, and we certainly need more business in that direction. If we're going to get this economy moving again, we've got to get some of the most basic industries moving forward too. The production of cars, the production of steel for the cars, all of the people that are associated with the automobile industry, I think this bill has a good chance of helping them. So it'll be called for consideration in the next 8 weeks. In the Senate, there's a similar version in the House. President Obama supports it. It's a $4 billion program. That amount of money was included in the stimulus package. It's a first-come, first-served program if it passes, when it passes. So people who are interested in making purchases, if they hear this legislation's coming down, that's the time to get out and buy cars. And I hope that they'll buy a lot of new cars, particularly to buy American. The bill does not require that, but I encourage it. So let me answer any questions that you might have. Yes.
Senator Feinstein offered this bill correct, and then
she has a version.
She has a different version of this
different
bill.
version, a little different.
Okay.
Version.
Are you backing the version she has? She said it kind of that is more catered to the compromise the auto industry.
Well, I don't disagree with what my colleague's trying to do. She's trying to push people to buy more fuel-efficient cars, and I hope they will. We give them an incentive to buy fuel-efficient cars, but we also want to see people improve over the cars they're driving. We can have a dramatic improvement in fuel economy if somebody does trade in an older car that doesn't get very good fuel mileage and buys a car that gets, say, 22 miles a gallon. Now this car over here that we're looking at, it's 41 miles a gallon in the city. That's amazing, and it gives you the biggest bonus. What I want Senator Feinstein and myself and others to do is come together. Let's have a bill that really starts moving forward. We can serve both of these purposes, selling more cars and having more fuel economy.
And also, Senator, for people, we talked to a couple today over at another dealership who are buying their third hybrid, and they've gotten incentives before from the federal government for buying a hybrid car. Will they benefit from this package as well? Or?
I think there's some possibility that people will have a double incentive here. You know, we have had in the past some incentives to buy hybrid cars, and this would be on top of it if we could put both of those together. But I'm really focused on this one in particular, on the cash kind of incentive that we're creating with this new legislation.
Senator, it seems like a pretty bipartisan kind of bill, on the face of it anyways. Where, if anywhere, do you expect any resistance to this?
Well, the only resistance from some is in the environmental field. I think it ought to be strictly environmental. You know, go for the highest fuel economy cars. And I can understand that thinking, and I don't quarrel with that thinking, but we've got a lot of cars, as I said, that will be improvement over what people are currently driving. will reduce the gasoline use, save the family some money, and reduce pollution. So I don't want to make it strictly an environmental issue. Let's also realize that getting this economy moving forward is a very good thing to do too.
Senator, the automotive service industry has come out against this because they want at least a tax break for getting repairs to your work instead of just scrapping an old car. What is your response to that?
Well, you know, it's hardly an idea you can come up with that somebody doesn't want to change a little bit or might oppose for another reason. But I honestly look at our major car manufacturers and think, if we don't get back into gear here and start selling cars in America, then what we've seen with Chrysler and General Motors may just get worse. There's an awful lot of jobs. We just lost almost 1,000 jobs up in northern Illinois. The Chrysler plant in Belvidere. Thank goodness it's staying open. But you know, for the others in other parts of the industry, I'd like to help them. Maybe some way we'll be able to. But let's not rain on this point. This is a possibility here that really could.
Now you mentioned this hybrid, 41 miles to be down in the city. We're not in the city down here. I think I can probably tell you, usually the number one selling vehicles in this area are trucks.
Yep. Well, it does include trucks. This includes trucks. And the trucks are a little different formula than what I mentioned earlier. With cars, if you can improve your mileage 4 miles a gallon or more, then you get $3,500, 10 miles a gallon or more, and you get $4,500. With trucks, it's a smaller amount because trucks don't get the fuel economy. Most of them, but cars can. And incidentally, that car does get 36 miles a gallon on the highway, according to the sticker I mentioned.
And would that be in addition to the tax break you're already going to get for buying a brand new car?
Yes. Okay.
Can we ask you random? Can we ask you some random sidebar questions really quick?
Random sidebar.
You were talking to David Gregory on Sunday about Gitmo, and of course he's on the show with you. He had asked you the question about transferring those prisoners to a facility in Illinois. Did you mean a state facility or a federal facility?
Well, I referred. Here's what it's all about.
Superman.
We have about 240 prisoners in Guantanamo. Some of those prisoners are going to be tried, and some of them are likely to be incarcerated. I don't know how many, 40, 50, whatever it happens to be. And the question is, where will they be imprisoned? And what I've said and stand by is this: we have the safest prisons in the world. Our supermax facilities, no one escapes from these prisons. They're under strict supervision and guard. They have 1 hour a day out of their cells, be by themselves. Their communications with anybody on the outside strictly limited and monitored. So I think they're the safest prisons in the world. And so he asked me whether I would be concerned about having someone in a supermax facility in my state, and I said no. I believe that they could be held safely, and I feel that way. With 347 terrorists currently in U.S. prisons, we've proven it every single day that we can do this job and do it well. Now, whether it's going to be a facility like Marion or Tams, that didn't come up as to which one it might be. But if there's an interest, if the governor has an interest in it, if the people in the community are interested in it, we can pursue this conversation. But I voted for an amendment which said before you transfer it to the detainee, you would consult with the state officials and make sure that the people were accepting of this idea. I've already been contacted by some in other parts of the state who've expressed an interest in this. You know, they have opportunities where they think they can detain a person, incarcerate them safely, and they said, what do we need to do? And I said, well, sit tight for now. The president's working out a plan. We don't know how many prisoners will be involved, but I think they can be held safely in America.
Well, what would the legal issues be putting a federal detainee in a state like Tams is a state prison? Would there be any legal issues there?
It's a good question because, you know, we do move some federal detainees. Tams, we held immigration cases. Those are federal cases. We held them in Tams, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Tams. I'm almost certain it's Tams. But there's a, you know, we can work out an arrangement here in terms of the standards, and all I'm saying is once the president has his plan, once we know whether there will be prisoners, then we will check with local officials and with the governor. And if it looks like there's a real interest in it, I'm ready to pursue it.
And on Burris, Senator Burris, you had spoken a little bit yesterday, I believe, up in